Yeah, good morning and welcome to Iyun. We're analyzing Maasros Perek Daled Mishnah Hay over here. The Mishnah has a machlokes between two different opinions, Tanakama and Chachamim. Chachamim say that even when we're talking about plants that are usually planted for their leaves. The leaves is what edible, either for spicing or to eat them actually directly. Uh, but as you know, every plant grows within its seeds in order to replant it. Sometimes you eat the seeds, sometimes you don't eat the seeds. If the seeds are edible, but the main part of the plant is for the leaves, the Chachamim say that you only calculate Shumas Maasros based on the actual leaves, based on the actual stem or whatever you're eating from them, not the actual seeds. The seeds don't count in Shumas Maasros. You're not going to take Shumas Maasros for the seeds. Unless two things, there's only two plants, like a Shechilaim and Gargir. Shechilaim, I think, are leeks. A leek is, I believe, the Greek onion. Is that what the green onion? Scallions, leeks. I have to check that up. And Gargir, I don't know what it is. But anyway, these two plants, right, just as edible as the leaves are, also the seeds are edible, and therefore you have to calculate them. However, if you have a plant which primarily is used like cilantro, right, coriander, which is people know it as cilantro, which is used as a spice to spice up your meal. So you primarily use the leaves. You don't use the seed, even though the seed is edible. So according to Belezer, according to the Tanakama, you calculate your mitzvahs based on the seed also. According to the Chum, you don't. So what's the machlokas centered on, right? So I think the way I explain the machlokas is, when does the chiyuv of Trumas and Maasros begin? We mentioned a couple different stages of this Masechta. The first parak talked about onas ha-maasros, right? When a plant is, let's just say a wheat plant grows 1/3 of its growth. So that reaches onas ha-maasros. Now, when it reaches onas ha-maasros, that means you can snack from it, but you can't eat a full meal. If you eat a full meal, that's called processing the food, and therefore you take Trumas ha-maasros. However, then there's Higia Lashas ha-maasros, becomes Tevel, Chayiv and Trumas ha-maasros, that's when it becomes Tevel. That's either when you take it into your house, you have bilus over it, or it's fully processed and it's on its way to a consumer, like we explained in the last thing in Mitzion. It's on the way to the consumer, so therefore it's degrading to take for yourself before you give to the Kohanim, Levim, and Aniyim, before you take out Trumas and Maasros. Now, this machlokas over here, where we're talking about plants where the seed is edible, but it's not the primary purpose of growing the plant. So, I think according to the Tanakama, you would say that really the plant is chayiv and Trumas ha-maasros technically from when it grows, the onas ha-maasros, right? When it reaches the onas ha-maasros, right? Midoraisa, it's chayiv and Trumas ha-maasros. However, the Rabbana made a kula that instead, even though it's a third grown, right? It's ripe, it's ready to be eaten now, it's ready to be eaten, to be consumed. However, if you have snack from it, right? If you snack from it, so that's not called achila. It's not called achila. It's chayiv in Trumas and Maasros, but it's not that I didn't do an isser of bal ta'acher, of taking myself, or bal ta'acher is taking Trumas and Maasros out of order, but also to eat from your thing, eating from tevel, even though it's chayiv in Trumas and Maasros, and maybe it's tevel also according to Tanakama here. Nonetheless, I can still snack from it, because snacking from it is not considered a violation of Achilas Teva. Achilas Teva has to be open kavua. However, according to the Chum, and we paskin like in this Mishnah over here, is that the Chiv and Shumas and doesn't become Teva until the actual time when it's either fully processed or it's in your bile, it's in your rishus, in your chatzar. So then it becomes Teva. It's not Tevel at the Shas Onas Amai. So what's the nafka? The difference that explains that there's machlokas over here. Because if you learn that the chiyuv of Tevel and the chiyuv of Trumas and Maasros start already at Onas HaMaasros, right? So when it's roy la'achila, it's ready to be eaten. So technically, it's not really ready to be eaten at that point, right? You have to process it. So, and that's the same thing by the seeds. The seeds are never ready to be eaten. They're really not the main purpose of this plant. But as long as it's roy la'achila, it's roy to be eaten, that's chayiv and Trumas and Maasros. And therefore, even when it's fully grown, the seed is not the main ingredient, the main thing you're taking from this plant to eat. Nonetheless, roy la'achila makes something tevel, and therefore the seed also tevel, even though you're not growing for the seed, as long as it's royal achila. However, according to the Chachamim, the chiyuv telling truma as a maasros is when it's what you're going to do with it. You have to eat in a permanent fashion, right? You have to process it, or you have to bring it into your house. So only not royal. It's not just royal achila. It has to be something that is fit the shulchan malachim, fit for a kavua meal, and therefore the seed is never meant to be. It's never the primary purpose of this plant. It's just really meant to be replanted. It's edible, but edible is not something which makes it like chayv shur hamayis. So you need something to be the primary purpose to eat, or that you're really olel shulchan malachim really. Like it has to be something that really people would want to eat in a permanent fashion, and therefore the seed in a plant only where the seed is primarily eaten. If it's not primarily eaten, even though it's royal achila, it wouldn't be tev, it wouldn't be chayv shur hamayis. That would be the explanation of the focus here. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.